And here's why builders, I feel like, put in the wrong windows. Seal is busted. You can see some of it even hanging off right there. Not the greatest exterior wood. I'll tell you guys, I'm sure glad we're not doing anything on this window. Looks like multiple pieces of line. Black zip tape all over them. It's like a big, fat, flat profile. Most of these builders don't know what they're doing when it comes to windows. Yeah, it'll be good for 10 years. Yeah, it'll be good for 15, but you are really screwing your homeowners over. Today we're doing a little bit of restoration, but mostly rebuilding on these windows that failed on this house. So the windows we're working are those top three right there. The two outer ones are complete failures, and the middle one, we're gonna try to do a little bit of restoration on that one. These dual pane glass windows that are insulated, they are a nightmare when it comes to stuff like this, when it comes to maintaining them. And if you watch anything from my friend Brent Hull, he has that 100-year window, and he can truly stamp that with a 100-year approval because it is maintainable. Now these windows here, I'm guessing, you know, knowing what I know about the house, they're probably 20 years old. They have failed already, and they're gonna cost this homeowner a significant amount of money for us to come and rebuild some custom windows. So all that to say, let's get up there, let's pull these windows down, and I'm going to show you guys why I completely don't recommend double insulated, dual pane glass windows, whatever you want to call them, even in 2026. And real quick, before we get up there, grab your squared 250-year American shirt. This is the 250-year anniversary of our country. On the left chest, we got the squared Americana flag. On the right sleeve, we got the 250 USA decal to celebrate our great country. And on the back, quote from Thomas Jefferson, above the White House, as you know, squared apparel, architecture should be worn. We got the White House, we got an American flag. This thing fits nice. You guys are gonna love it. Link at the top of the description and the comment below. So we're now in the bedroom with those three facing windows that we're looking at outside. And from inspection on the inside, they look fine. Obviously, this is the interior side, so they're not exposed to the elements of heat and rain and everything. But let's just look at what we see that looks wrong. We've got fogging here. See the moisture in there? That is because that seal is busted in this insulated glass, and moisture is now in there and it's trapped in there. We've got in this one as well. And I think we have more in some of these other ones. Yeah, we've got one down here. Of course, this one is a complete rebuild. If you're looking at my footage down there from the street, you can see this muntin bar on the exact opposite side of this one was completely rotted. You can see some of it even hanging off right there. So the homeowners were looking at this and like, what is going on with my windows? Well, unfortunately, they weren't built to the best building practices. Now, here's the sad part. Saying all this stuff of like what you shouldn't do, but the sad part is to match the rest of the house, we're gonna build them the same way, and we're basically gonna put another temporary band-aid on this, so then another 20 years, there'll be a guy like me coming back up here to redo the same thing. So the reason we're doing that is because to keep them matching, to keep the consistency and the look and the style, we're rebuilding them the same way. Not exactly what I would want to do, but I do understand the cost of redoing every window, wanting to have the same look. So we're living in the real world here, but I'm just saying, like, best case scenario, from the time this house was built, these windows were built different. So we're gonna take some of these off, and we're gonna take all of them off actually, and we're gonna board these up. It's gonna take us about 2 or 3 days to build these. They're gonna go to finishing. We don't do any of the finishing, and then we'll come back. Oh no, we gotta order glass. That's the other thing. If this was just like single pane glass, I could just cut it right there in my shop. I've done this multiple times on window repairs and just re-glaze it with glazing putty. Here I've got to take it to a glass company, get them to get the exact sizes so it fits in our newly built window. It's going to take a while, probably 2-week turnaround time on glass. We're probably in it a week, finishing probably a week just to get on their schedule, and then we come back. So these windows are going to be boarded up in this really nice community for like a month, I would guess, just worst case a month. Whereas if we could repair these and maintain them. We'd throw an extension ladder up the side of the house. I'd bring some glazing putty with me, bust out all the junk, re-glaze it, and handle it that way. The other thing is, these windows are built in solid ash. Not the greatest exterior wood. Not the worst either, but definitely, you know, you're seeing that rotting and everything. And any wood that's not protected and maintained and painted is going to do this eventually. Some woods will do it longer than others, last longer than others. But ash would not be my go-to. But again, we're going back with ash. We got to match that grain. We got to match that wood species. When they stain it, they've got to be able to dial that stain in. And if you guys remember this house, this is going back a little bit, maybe a couple months. We did some arches here, and we originally thought this stuff was like a white oak because the graining is similar, but we did testing on it and it was ash. All this stuff was ash. What happened was the painter, he couldn't get the finish on the white oak, like that ceruse finish and this kind of like pickling color. He just couldn't get it. And then we looked at the wood again and it was like, oh, this isn't white oak. So we've got to go back with the same thing to match everything. So we're kind of pushed into this corner where I can't do what I want, but we're going to get them in a better position than they are right now. You know what I'm looking at? We might need to notch our board for this because it's all integrated into that. You have to take all this off. I don't really want to do that.
Then I'll grab the top one until I get this one loose, you know?
Okay.
That's right. How does it feel?
It's okay.
It's gonna work?
Yeah.
Okay. You got it?
Yeah. Board these up. We're gonna put a piece of OSB right here. We're gonna screw that into the jamb with the trim head screw. And then we'll be able to make like a handle and pull them through and then screw to these. So this is just something we can screw into. All right, there you guys are down there on the camera, but you don't get to see our cool handle system. So this is just some nylon from a strap screwed in with some boards to hold it. That's our handle to stick this out and pull it through, which you'll see on the other side. I like the way our zip boards look. They're just black. We put that black zip tape all over them, so it's not just bright plywood. That way at least the neighbors and stuff don't have to stare at that for months. It's a pretty cool little area here. So it kind of just looks like the window tint or whatever that you see, just kind of dark. I'll tell you guys, I'm sure glad we're not doing anything on this window. Look at this interesting piece of artwork. And if you look at that, each piece is suspended by like fishing line, some kind of little string. So if we had to get to that window, we're getting tangled up in all of that. That stuff is insane. You see the light hitting you right there? Each one is hung by looks like multiple pieces of line to keep it in like a suspended, yeah, it's like holding it up at the angle that they want it. And it's really weird when you're in the space because the camera is doesn't do it justice. But as you descend the stairs here, it's like a giant kind of thing falling on you. And then I don't know what this is, but it's in a glass case here that you walk on as you go out. So it's pretty cool stuff here. This volute going down the handrail. This is probably one of the coolest rooms I've ever been in as far as millwork. Check this out. gigantic fluted ionic pilasters, or pilasters, however you want to say that. But a pilaster is some pier that is engaged into the wall. So a true pier would be if this thing here was completely freestanding and it was like supporting structure above it, that would be a pier. But a pilaster is something that's halfway engaged into the wall. If this were circular, this would be an engaged column. It's funny because a lot of people will call a pier a column, and it's just not what it is. We've got our windows boarded up there, and we've got them down. We've got all that. We're gonna remake these the exact same way. Now that we've got it down here though, let's just look at it. This is obviously the worst one. It had this complete muntin bar that was missing, and that rotted away and was deteriorated. But the problem with these, and here's why builders, I feel like, put in the wrong windows. Anything that's not maintainable as far as windows is a mistake in my opinion. Now this is ash, a better exterior wood as opposed to something like pine. Now I wouldn't choose ash, like I said, I would choose something like sapele, Spanish cedar, something that's gonna be more durable, something that is tropical, like a tropical hardwood. But this is kind of middle of the road as far as ash. But you see like builders putting in pine windows, poplar windows. I mean, this made it 20 years or so. That's like a 10-year window, pine and poplar. So yeah, you're handing your house over to your homeowner. Year 1, it looks great. Year 2, year 5, year 6, you get to year 10 on some of these windows, you could be experiencing something like this. Windows need to be maintainable. They're not an expendable part of the house, or they shouldn't be at least, especially when you see some of the cost of some of these windows. It's like $3,000 a window, $4,000 a window for some of the higher end, like brand name stuff. So just strictly speaking from like a smart decision, if you're putting something on your house that's supposed to be permanent, like doors, windows, like the whole exterior facade ideally would be permanent. I know obviously these things happen, but let's think about like perfect conditions. This would be a permanent window, you wouldn't have to change it. It'd be like a 100-year window. So the problem with this is it's not maintainable. That's number one. This has its muntin bars where it has a piece of trim inside there holding the glass in. That trim is exposed to water. When water hits the glass, it falls down and it seeps behind that piece of wood trim, and it's going to eventually rot. I mean, we're seeing a perfect example of it here. Somebody tried to caulk this. If you see that right there, maybe pull in tight on this, and you can see this is a silicone, like someone, like, see how I can push that in? That's silicone caulking. So someone tried to, put a band-aid on this. Got silicone caulking coming out over here too. If this were a true historic window, like I know this is not a historic window, but if this were made like the right way, like one of Brent's 100-year windows, you would pull that old glazing putty off, put a new glass in, and then reglaze it with putty. The putty is the thing that is supposed to fail. It's not supposed to be the wood. Now, it's not just the glazing putty that's going to save the window, the maintenance of the window as well. Like a painted wood window is going to have to be painted every so often to keep it sealed in and that wood grain structural. I've been in places and we've done jobs where it's literally just a layer of paint holding the wood together, and it's crazy. But you've got to maintain this stuff. Now, if you're going with wood windows, which traditional houses have wood windows, you've got to pick the right window. And builders who put windows like this, it's kind of like they don't know better, because this is all that the window supplier offers. Like, I don't think Pella will offer you a single pane glass, because 99% of builders are going to say, oh, a single pane glass? No way, that's horrible. Think about my R value. But if you're really interested in R value, I'm not an expert on that. Brent has had his 100-year window tested, single pane glass, glazing putty, traditionally built, and it performs great. And he goes into the whole thing of like 90% of your house in a traditional house is not windows. Most of it's wall. Like if you were to look at the whole sum of this facade here, like you're looking at stone. You're looking at mostly stone and like 10% glass. So it's not even enough to affect the inside R value of your cooling and heating with a single pane glass. There's been studies done on it. So yeah, that's number one, is like that maintaining. Number two, aesthetically, beautifully, this Muntin bar doesn't look good to me. It's like a big fat flat profile. Like this piece right here is like 1.25 inches wide, and that's just it almost looks like an SDL window, simulated divided light. But as we can see right here, it is a true divided light. We're seeing different panes of glass, but the way that's so fat, it's not appealing. On the traditional windows, this is no more than 3/4. Sometimes it's even smaller, and it's got a lot of depth to it, like a lot of depth, a lot of shadow, and it's night and day, the difference. And then on the inside, which I don't even have to spin this window around, because on the inside, this window looks the exact same as the outside. But on the inside of a traditional window, you have your profile a lot deeper on that as well. And what I mean by that is, like, this is 1.75 inch sash. So this is like a door, okay? When you have 1.75 inch piece like that, the thickness of this sash, and you add a 1/2 inch piece of glass, which is what this is, well, you only have 1.25 inches now to play with for your depths, because the glass is already eaten a 1/2 inch. So your profile gets thinner, and your glazing bar gets more thin and minimal as well. So I mean, theoretically you could glaze, and I'm sure someone's done it, you could put glazing putty on a double insulated glass like this, but I've never seen that. And the putty would be so thin that I don't know that that would even be acceptable. I don't know if that would even work, but maybe, I'm sure somebody's done that. I just haven't seen it. But this window failed. Look at that. That's all rotted wood there, obviously coming out of there. And aesthetically pleasing to the traditional, like Brent's 100-year window, this thing it just does not look good. Like, I'll put a side by side of the 100-year window or a window similar next to this and see if you guys can spot the difference. I don't know how well it's going to come through on video, but that is the reason most of these builders don't know what they're doing when it comes to windows. Yeah, it'll be good for 10 years. Yeah, it'll be good for 15, but you are really screwing your homeowners over in the end. And the last kind of caveat I would put on this is metal windows. Metal windows, great product, durable, not so much for heat transfer, heat gain, heat loss, because think about it. If you're holding a match, say you strike a match is made out of wood, you strike a match on a matchbox and you light that match, you could hold that match essentially forever if that match was like a never-ending match. The wood is not going to transfer that heat. But say you hold a piece of metal into an open flame, that heat is going to transfer to your fingers quick. So that's the only problem with metal windows. But I do like metal windows, and they are very durable. They last a long time. So hopefully you guys learned something from this. It's going to be our first time rebuilding a kind of builder grade window, but that's what we're going to do.